Salut à tous, ici le Baron of Mourk. Cette semaine, on retourne un peu sur Terre. Enfin dans l'espace quand même, mais je veux dire que j'ai une petite attaque sans prétention après la folie de ces 2 dernières semaines sur l'autoroute de Hardcore Crusader pendant l'Invictus Week. C'est l'avantage de la piraterie, je l'ai déjà dit 100 fois, que de créer des hauts et des bas qui ajoutent du contraste au gameplay en son ensemble et évitent que l'on se dégoûte ou que l'on se blase du jeu trop rapidement. Un autre avantage est de pouvoir toujours présenter un aspect intéressant sans forcément avoir besoin des séquences les plus hautes en couleurs. Parce que parfois, les choses les plus importantes d'une attaque de piraterie ne se passent pas sur l'écran, mais plutôt dans le fond et hors caméra. Et c'est exactement le cas lors de cette attaque que j'ai nommée rapide à dégainer, mais où il ne s'agit pas de dégainer une arme, mais plutôt de dégainer un snare. Et ceux qui ont vu ma vidéo qui parle du mantis dans Star Citizen le sauront déjà. Le snare est un outil délicat qui, s'il n'est pas utilisé au bon endroit et au bon moment, ne donnera absolument aucun résultat. Un snare fructueux, ce sont généralement des informations que l'on doit parfois récolter en un temps record, lorsque le vaisseau cible est déjà prêt à décoller et que l'on joue contre la montre. Quelques minutes auparavant, nous avons raté quelqu'un à une poignée de secondes, justement parce que le snare n'a pas été déployé à temps. Il faut aussi parfois, dans le cocktail, une pincée de chance. La vidéo de cette semaine est aussi le parfait exemple pour répondre à une question que l'on me pose régulièrement. Comment comptons-nous réagir à l'arrivée du cargo système refactor en ce qui concerne la négociation ? Allons-nous continuer à demander des extorsions à nos cibles, ou est-ce que nous allons tout simplement couper la communication et uniquement tenter de récupérer leur vaisseau à chaque fois pour mettre la main sur absolument tout ce qu'il contient ? C'est une question à laquelle il reste difficile de répondre aujourd'hui, car les choses seront probablement plus claires une fois que le système sera réellement implémenté en jeu. Surtout qu'il faudra aussi prendre en compte le salvage et le fait que le vaisseau même de la cible pourra constituer un gain financier pour des pirates. Mais ma réponse en résumé, c'est que nous continuerons à négocier certainement avec les cibles de petite importance comme celle de la vidéo d'aujourd'hui par exemple. L'investissement de temps nécessaire pour décharger un vaisseau de sa marchandise fera que si les produits transportés ne sont pas d'une valeur suffisante, nous préférerons certainement négocier une extorsion facile et rapide plutôt que de procéder à un abordage dangereux suivi d'un long transbordement. Naturellement, tous ceux qui refuseront les extorsions, ou qui les ont refusées par le passé et sont désormais sur nos listes de kill on site, seront systématiquement détruits, et nous ferons l'effort de ramasser leurs restes tels que nous le faisons déjà. La dure réalité, c'est que le cargo system refactor ne nous fait vraiment ni chaud ni froid, car contrairement aux traders, nous sommes déjà habitués au cargo physicalisé depuis des années.
We got a Drake caterpillar at Baijini, but I can't scan him because Aries.
Is the pilot in the seat?
No.
I could come real quick to you, I'm not far. There is nothing going on at Turkey 1.
Just got in, he just got in the ship.
Alright,
Shields just went down though.
just put this guy.
Oh.
Should... What the fuck?
Shields are back online. I think he power cycled his ship for some reason.
Some reason I cannot scan him? Yeah, no, I can. He got diesel spirit and scrap.
Okay.
Alright, where is he going? He's Australian. Scrap. Shit.
Ground stations, right?
Yeah, that's one of the... Scrap is R5. Jumping there now.
You think he's
You
going
just
crew
go
on
to
fire?
the. You just go to Samson and sell there.
Samson's one of his options, but crew L5 and her L5 are paying highest. About 7 cents,
Alright.
but
Have a look on him.
I'm watching. He just rolled out of hangar. I'm watching where he's going.
Alright.
charging snare.
We're still over at Ariel.
Snare is deployed. Yeah, let's. I'm gonna snare this guy first. We'll have some time if we.
I saw him.
If I caught him. And Tracy's with me. What is he doing, Trace?
Look, he went to area 18, I think. I'll follow.
No, I got something. I just pulled out something. Yeah. Yeah, I got him. Caterpillar, come to me, guys. He must think I'm a fucking NPC. Trying to engage.
Confirm name of target again.
That's an insult.
Bowling. How much do you want to charge?
Alright, so is let me check again. It got 1100 of scrap and 1200 of distilled spirit. So
It's not even small.
yeah, it's not a
Like
lot.
20 bucks then?
Yeah, 20,000. That's fine. Just for it. It's trying to engage me again. All right, now you're here, Trey. So I'm just gonna move away where he cannot hit me. Is he answering?
Yeah, I've got him up on VoIP. I'm trying to talk to him now.
Nice. He's trying to go full speed, in straight line, going towards the sun.
I don't think I'm getting through on VoIP. I'm going to switch to bloody text.
All right, back shield is down. Stop all details. I'm gonna keep firing my distortion so they don't come back up.
He's answered. He's not responding yet.
Yeah, cool.
I don't think my voice comms is working at the moment. We'll be coming up behind you guys in a moment.
Okay. Yeah, I can. Somebody just pull out somebody behind us.
Yeah, that's us.
Okay.
Giving him 60 seconds to respond.
All right.
He said just destroy me.
Okay. Destroy him. He just disappeared.
Oh wow!
Oh no, that was desync. All right. No, he didn't load.
Who popped the rattlers?
That was me. Ah yeah, maybe that was the reason why. Those missiles not that good. It's trying to fight.
Is there someone coming up behind us?
Let me check.
Stoney, is that you behind us?
I'm not there yet, no.
Oh, we have somebody else?
In here in a second.
Gonna check.
Okay, no, I've just hit the snare.
It's Blackjack Security.
Okay.
Well, we're not in comsat, so
Yeah.
I'm just kill the shit out of him.
Oh, who's this, that's
That's an insult.
that's Caterpillar?
Yeah, that's the caterpillar.
I'm not seeing old mate in the pilot's chair.
I see him in the pilot chair.
Yeah, he's in seat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to shoot on me again.
Saying, hurry up, this is boring.
Yeah. He says as he's fighting back, and
All right,
there we go.
Stay.
Do you have any boxes?
Looking.
Looking.
See a ship.
Yeah, I see his wreck as well. I'm gonna put down qu'il. Alright. Nose off.
We gotta kill this blackjack security exploding.
Alright.
Yeah, I see boxes. And I see his cadaver as well. No, wait, is
Really?
it boxes? Yeah, I see
It's
boxes, I see boxes. Yeah, there are boxes everywhere. Hundreds of them.
Back
Well,
on
no,
you guys.
dozens of them, at least. And his body as well. Let's get his body, all the boxes. So it's just gonna be
That's
scrap
none.
and
I just realized I don't
Distant
have.
spirits. Give me
yeah, just come to
Yeah,
me
I'm
and
right
then
here.
you can do a 180 and you'll be good. You see me? Yeah, I'm here. All right,
So you got 2 FS9s, if anybody wants some med gun.
just come here.
Yeah, I was going to take his equipment off and put it in the agent's ship. If no one takes
Okay.
anything.
Go ahead.
Is it-
Right,
is
you
it-
good? You good? You good?
Let me
Bit
get
more,
off of
bit
it.
more. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
I can't see. I can't drag the body because I don't have
Oh.
a thing.
All right, you
Oh,
good?
there it goes.
You good? You good?
Just
Where
put
are
it
we
in the back
taking
of
Is it?
back of the cuddy.
Because
I'm so glad that this gun exists.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Back in my day when you did piracy, you had to pick the boxes up one by one.
Yeah, you had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our days are past, agents. Our days are past.
Pappy pirate.
Still gotta move them all one by one though.
Yeah.
Just don't have to move as much.
Oh god, getting back in there's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Back to me.
All right. I think that's
Any
it.
more out there? No.
This guy.
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, I mean, this guy didn't even have the time to respawn.
Oh crap.
Let me check. Oh yeah, no. That's quite a lot, but I ever saw more than that in the back of the blue.
Alright, I'm gonna grab this guy's loot, put it in the cutlass, and then just deposit his body out in space.
Actually, I need a Cruz Lux.
I actually have some.
Yeah, no,
Bring you
I
one.
no, I got some as well.
Oh, okay.
I just need to drink it because I'm yellow thirst.
I didn't bring a
Do you get
tractor,
Cruz
but I did
Lux?
bring. Yeah, that's right.
What?
You didn't bring a tractor beam, but you brought Cruz Lux.
I did.
Priorities lie. Alright, we'll try there first, because it's the closest one. And it's still showing up. Floating?
Did we go into the orphanage?
Oh, was I? Yeah, I'm here. I'm just grabbing this guy's shit and then tossing his body out the back.
Yep. Let us know when you've done that.
Yep, just putting the last piece of armor into the cuddy. And out in space he goes.